Next on the schedule is Steve Preston. Now, I would recommend that you get out a pencil and paper because he's going to describe the best asteroidal occultations coming up for the next year. He concentrates on North America, but there may be some others outside North America. But the point is that these are things that are so much fun to do that you may just want to schedule some vacation time for them. So Steve, take it away.
And I'll say here too that I'm going to share my screen. Okay, try to at least. And I need to find there it is. So yeah, I'm the list I have right now is mostly on North America, but and we'll have this uploaded to the meeting website, so you don't necessarily need to take a lot of notes. You'll be able to check this out on your own later as well. But and then also on asteroidoccultation.com, I have my best events list as well for 2022, in addition to the ones that are for the remaining of 2021. So on this list, I'll quickly go through the events that are coming up for the rest of this year and then for 2022. And it's gotten more difficult to choose events. It used to be I could largely choose them based on the path certainty, on how good the path is. There weren't many that had a good path, but now there's, with Gaia and the orbit solutions we're getting from JPL, from the Horizon system, there's a lot of events that have great path certainty, great path statistics. So these events right now, I'm focusing more just on if it's a bright star and or a large magnitude where it's a good chance of actually seeing the event. I'll also comment that as we get further in the year, we may also occasionally identify events that we consider to be very interesting, very useful data, like the Apophis events, which came up somewhat at the last minute. And so we may find more events like that as well. But so here's the short list. And again, you'll have a document, or the document will be uploaded to the website where you can take a look at it. There's quite a few. Most of these are going to be, I guess, roughly 10th magnitude or brighter. I did include one by Calliope here, which was magnitude 10.7, partly just because it's Calliope and we're very interested in data on Calliope and Linus, the satellite. So here's one. This is coming up at the end of this month across North America, 8.2 magnitude star occulting a very large asteroid. Obviously, this will be a good event. And then next, another relatively good sized asteroid across the southwest in September 7th. Pulkova, southeast US, Mexico, 7th magnitude star. I need to make this a little bit smaller, okay. Calliope, December 14th. December might be a little tough from Canada and Minnesota in December. Could be getting a little cold, but southeast down by Roger, opportunity should be good down there. Laurentia, January. So now we're into 2022. This one goes from from southeast Canada all the way across U.S. into the California, into the desert, Southwest desert. Should be good from there in January. Calliope again in the south. Road Trot, 9th magnitude star across much of the U.S. This is in March, so we're into spring. Weather prospects should be a little bit better. Argo, March, southern U.S. 9th magnitude star. With magnitude 9, there's a good opportunity for multi-station deployments. It's often possible to set up relatively small scopes like the MADI Mini. So again, that's why I'm kind of focusing on the opportunities with brighter stars with this. Iris, again, large asteroid, but this is in Canada, but it's still, late September in the West, could be a little, or late March, could be a little bit cold, but still a good event. Very good path certainty. Uniki, low altitude, star magnitude 7.7, which will counteract the altitude a little bit, but still an interesting event. 40 Hansa, some twilight interference with this one in August across much of the US, but looks good for Eastern Canada and then I guess probably northern US. Judith across Florida in mid-September, magnitude 9.3, and across Mexico and the Yucatan. Might be a good excuse to go to the Yucatan. Western US, Nausicaa, end of September, Western US should be a good event. 9.5 magnitude star. Thalia, magnitude 6.7, so relatively bright star. Early October, Southeast Canada and I guess North Central US. October, maybe the weather will hold out. Another one in October, Canada and the Western US. 9.6 magnitude star. Cheruskia, magnitude 9 star, late October. Another one late October across the entire US. Magnitude 8, almost magnitude 9 star, late October into November, but this one goes down to New Mexico and up through central US and up into eastern Canada in November. 9.9 magnitude, 9.5 magnitude in the west here. And that's it. So let's see. So that was a quick run through the events. These are, I think all these are on the best events list for 2021 and 2022. And we will upload these events to the meeting website so everybody can take a look at those in case you want to do some planning.
Are some of those worth having an organized campaign for, Steve?
Quite possibly, yeah. Yes, there was a couple of them, I think in the, especially in the fall. Sorry, I should go back to this again. Bring that up.
Also, we need to check the RUWE on these events.
Good question, David. I think for all the events on this list, I verified that the RUWE is not a problem. These should all, the stars should be in good, should have good data for all these stars. So these should all have low RUWE. Although on these charts it says not available because I haven't updated my code to update the fields that Occult reads to report that. But I'm pretty sure I checked all these to verify the stars are in good shape. So Roger, in terms of which ones would be good for an event, for an organized event, it's kind of an interesting question. This one with Hebe will be easy to observe, magnitude 8.2, pretty broad path though. So interesting question with that, but it is in the, but that's just coming up. So that's a little bit soon. Here's one in September, early September out in the west. That might be an interesting one. Magnitude 8.7, pretty bright star. Here's one in the southeast, Pulkovo. Pulkovo number 1, I don't know that there's any orbit data for Myriad on this. Maybe there is, one moon. So that could be interesting if the Myriad data is producing an orbit and if the satellite's in a place that we might be able to catch it. And then we start getting, well, then it goes all the way to December for this year. But next year, for good weather prospects, there's one in the south in March.
Steve, I don't think you're still sharing your screen. If you're still
Nope,
talking
I'm not.
about...
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. So let me go back here and screen share, and I'll go back to this. Sorry about that. Let me go back to these in. So September 7th out in the west, September 7th this year in the west, Kolga, relatively large asteroid, magnitude 8.7 star. That would be a good event in the west, if you know. Here's another one more closer to Roger, and since it's Pulkovo does have a satellite, a 19-kilometer, there may be data for that in Myriad. If there's an orbit in Myriad, then it could be interesting to see where the satellite's going. That might be an interesting one to try to pick up both the main body and the satellite. That could be an interesting event for an organized expedition by the group. Then my next one here is December 14th with Calliope. December might be a little bit difficult from a weather prospect standpoint. January, March. So here we are, March again, New Mexico, Arizona. That could be reasonable weather prospects. March in the south, again. April, but that's kind of low altitude. That's kind of a tough one. This one has twilight interfering for a lot of people. So mid-September in Florida with Judith. I don't know, maybe that's in hurricane season. Maybe the weather prospects might be a little questionable. But here's one out west in the late September next year. This could be interesting with Nausicaa, magnitude 9.5 star. And, you know, over Las Vegas, and that's generally, you know, a good option for weather. So that could be an interesting one for next year. And then we get to October, kind of in the northern California here. But it'll be interesting to see what other events pop up based on the target asteroid. You know, if we I selected all these largely based on star magnitude. It could be we'll discover there's some events with magnitude 10 stars that are very interesting objects, and we may decide that we want to do an expedition for those rather than something for a bright star, but an asteroid that maybe has been observed many times before. You know, we may be more interested in the asteroid than in the observing prospects for an event or two. I guess I'll stop sharing
Some of
now.
these, like Pulkova, have a moon.
Yes.
And that makes them extra interesting for a campaign.
That's right. Pulkova and Calliope both have moons, and it looks like Pulkova might actually have an orbit in Myriad, so that makes it even more interesting. We have a better chance of actually catching the asteroid.
Yeah. Well, now who decides whether we're going to do a formal campaign? The board or you? Or
yeah. In general, what's happened in the past is we kind of left it to David to announce that he wanted to, you know, choose some for a campaign. But yes, I guess the board can just get together and say, yes, let's identify a couple of events as a campaign. I think we've talked about in the past is identify 1 or 2 events ahead of time, and let's propose those as expeditionary campaigns. Obviously, we kind of took a break last year for obvious reasons, not much travel going on last year, but I think it'd be good to get going again this year and the next year and identify at least 1 or 2 events each year. In the past, we talked about identifying one event as a very observable, fun event, and another event maybe for the science value. You know, this might be a little tougher to capture the data on, but the interest is great. Pulkova might fall into both those because it's a bright star. But,
yeah.
So yes, it'd be good for the board to kind of, or someone on the board to kind of prompt that discussion and see if we want to identify a couple, and then give people a heads up early that, hey, we want to focus on this event, and hopefully gather up observers that way.
Yeah, we'll also want to, see what SWRI does. You know, we'll want to help them out for some of their events, and they're always supposedly pretty faint.
Right. I did not look at the SWRI events for my list of events because I figured those would be good science targets, but, you know, and we'll figure those out along the way. But yes, that'd be another good event to look at, good list to look at when we figure out what we want to do for expeditions.
Yeah, and we have some of our own special events that I'll be talking about too.
Okay, great. Good. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Steve, for that.
Sure. Okay.
Any other questions of Steve? Okay. Next on the agenda is Bill Hanna. Bill, we're running just a little bit early, so you can take plenty of time. Bill has a remote observatory in Australia, and he lives in Montana. Bill, you ready to go?
Yep, here we go.